The rules for today's spring game, and these vary program to program and spring game to spring game. This is what Will Muschamp has for his teams today. Is we'll play 12-minute quarters in the first half, and in the second half, 15-minute quarters, but it's a small window, so they'll run the clock. When the black team is scoring in the Gamecock end zone, it will go on the black team side. When the Garnet team is scoring in the Carolina end zone, and you'll understand we show you the field, how it's going to work. Traditional football scoring, obviously don't hit the quarterback, but this is not going to be, and I thought this was interesting in terms of philosophically, how Will Muschamp is approaching today as part of his rebuilding process of the mentality of this team. This is not going to be a Garnet team and a black team playing a traditional game. He wants to build up some confidence. He's not going to put Brandon McElwain in that situation.
Well, what Will wants is another practice. He's still got a lot of these guys he needs to evaluate. He obviously wants to see Brandon McElwain, the true freshman, in front of a crowd in a live game situation, but he doesn't want to get him hurt because he's already got Perry Orth hurt. He broke his collarbone, and he's limited at that position anyway, because Perry would have probably been the starter today. He's the older guy. He's the senior. He played last year, but they do think Brandon has a chance to be the guy next fall, so they really want to see how he's playing today. They don't expect him to play like a starter today, Bob, because he's still a high school guy. They do expect him to make some plays and see something they can build on for fall.
Let's take a look at some footage from Brandon McElwain in high school. Remember, this is less than a year ago. He was getting the job done at the high school level at Council Rock North in Pennsylvania. He is a dual threat quarterback. He can throw it and he can run it.
Coach Roper and Coach Muschamp want a guy that can do both. They want an athlete back there. This guy's 6 foot, so they'll probably get him a little deeper in the pocket, but Bobby's 210 pounds, and he can run through tackles, but you can see he'd also got tremendous speed. So they're really excited about him. They also said he was one of the best leaders. He's a baseball player. He will leave the team and go play baseball next week. This guy's a special athlete, and they think special leader.
Now, we'll not only see Brandon McElwain quarterbacking one side, we'll see Connor Mitch quarterbacking the other side. Brandon McElwain, again, an early enrollee, a true freshman, right now at the top of the depth chart, but this is far from a set depth chart at quarterback. And not only did Will Muschamp say this, Kurt Roper, the offensive coordinator, told us the same thing. You are not going to see the starter at quarterback emerge from today's game. This is going to be part of the evaluation process, but this will still be a wide open competition that includes Perry Orth and includes Lorenzo Nunez, who hyperextended his knee and sprained a knee ligament back on March 19th. So 2 quarterbacks that were part of the 3 quarterback story last year for South Carolina, who are also on the roster, not playing today. So you've got 3 guys still on the roster that took all the snaps last year. None of them are named Brandon McElwain. So a lot could change the quarterback spot for South Carolina between now and opening day.
Most important decision for this group, and they had trouble at quarterback at Florida. So Will is very aware he needs to get that fixed before fall.
A.J. Turner, the return man. And again, there will be quick whistles from the officiating crew today, as you are not going to want to get anyone injured. I mean, Coach, when you coached a spring game, what were your biggest concerns and what did you want to get accomplished?
You wanted to have guys have effort. You wanted to make sure you got your best players in the game early and got them the ball, let them make plays, and then you wanted to get them out, Bob, because there's nothing you're going to learn in the next 2 hours that can change the game next year, but you could get hurt. So you got to be careful today. And that's why kicking game is not live. It'll be what they call thud. They'll have a quick whistle.
Brandon McElwain with a sling to the sideline, so he is 1 for 1. The catch is made by Hayden Hurst.
And Hurst is one of those guys they think's really a special player, minor league baseball player, a little bit older, 23 years old. He's a guy that can play tight or wide, so they're really excited about him as a playmaker.
Into the heart of the Garnet defense goes David Williams. Not much there, so it will bring up 3rd down and 9 on the opening possession. And now we'll see what Brandon McElwain can get done with a group of wide receivers as well that for the most part is as unproven as he is at quarterback. Deebo Samuel played about half the season last year, missing 7 games because of injury. He caught 12 balls. He is the leading returning pass catcher. And here's McElwain getting loose. can't hit the quarterback.
Well,
so there is a little bit of a judgment call on the part of the officials as to when the quarterback is down.
And the head coach has the only quarterback whistle, and he is in a gold jersey right there. He probably would have been tackled. He might would have been tackled there. But Will wants this guy to play. He wants to turn him loose. He wants to send a message. You got to make those plays with your feet. Now, those defensive linemen are cussing the head coach right now. Coach, I had him, man. I grabbed him. Shut up and play. I've got the whistle.
He throws one to the sideline this time. And that pass is caught by Casey Crosby. Again, one of a group of tight ends that also very unproven, but talking to Kurt Roper and Will Muschamp yesterday, that's actually a position they feel pretty good about.
Yeah, he's a redshirt sophomore, and Kevin can play tight or he can play outside. So they really feel like the tight ends are athletic and they can be go-to guys for them. Give them a lot of flexibility with their formations.
Another wide receiver hitch. Gain of a yard. Again, it's Kevin Crosby. KC as he goes. Chris Lamons comes up to make the stop. Actually, no gain on second down. Brings up third down and long once again.
Well, Chris is smart. He's a junior. He's been around from a long time. He's a Fort Lauderdale kid down in Plantation High School. And we've got to understand, fans, this is #1 offense against #1 defense. So this is the best against the best that we have dressed out today.
McElwain under pressure, and this will be a sack. Can't get away from Ulrich Jones.
It's hard to call that one anything else. There comes a time the head coach is wanting the ball to move, but you can see here, Ulrich is a guy that's really quick. He's a big, tall guy at 6'6", 295. They want him to continue to get more consistency, but they're concerned about their pass rush, Bob, and they think he's a guy that can make the pass rush good.
Sean Kelly will punt. Lamons back deep to receive, although all punt returns today will be automatically fair caught. So again, this is going through the motions, and this one is not going to be fair caught. That is quite the kick from Sean Kelly. 59 yards out of bounds at the 16-yard line.
Sean Kelly's a senior, but he transferred from FAU, and they think he and Elliott Fry, the kicker, are two of the most powerful players on this team, and special teams should be really good.
So now Connor Mitch will take over at quarterback. Now last season, Connor Mitch was the starter at the beginning of the year. And they were able to beat North Carolina in the opener, although he was 9 for 22 in that game for only 122 yards. Didn't turn it over, though. Started the first 2 games, injured his shoulder against Kentucky, and along with complications from a hip injury, was never able to return after week 2 last year. So now he comes back to a very crowded quarterback race. Darius Pauk is brought down right at the line of scrimmage. After Mitch went down, Lorenzo Nunez and Perry Orth were the 2 quarterbacks that played the rest of the season. Nunez is the top returning rusher this coming season, and he was the quarterback. He ran for 375 yards. But Nunez out with a hyperextended knee. And there goes Mitch. As he will scramble forward for about 4 yards. And Perry Orth out with the fractured collarbone. So in spite of the fact that it's a very crowded depth chart at quarterback, they only have 2 quarterbacks right now that they think are in the mix that are healthy. And that's Connor Mitch playing now, and of course Brandon McElwain.
And because of the unknown at the quarterback position, Coach Muschamp actually had 2 practices where they were live, Bob. So they did not want them to be live today because you got to have enough to get through the game.
That throw sails wide of Javon Charleston. So it's a 3-and-out. And we'll see Brandon McElwain out there again.
This is the 2 versus the 2 group. And you could see there was a much slower pace with the 2s than the 1s. Coach Muschamp and Coach Roper wanted to go really, really fast the first couple of series with the 1 offense and not tell Coach Robinson and the 1 defense and see how they responded. So far, the defense has had the upper hand.
What I'm looking forward to is to start off the second half. You're going to be down on the field. And we're going to have you standing right next to Will Muschamp. Both of you are going to be on microphone. And you'll be able to talk to him while he watches the game. And that's going to be a window into the mind of the head coach during a spring game that we don't normally get. So that should be fun. We're going to step aside for just a moment. It's the Garnet and Black spring football game here in Columbia. And there is Perry Orth signing some football since he's out today.
SEC Network Spring Football is brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world.
On game day, it is a great scene here in Columbia. They pack all of the railroad cars outside the stadium. It's about as good a tailgating scene as you're going to find in about as good a game day conference as there is in college football, and that's the challenge for Will Muschamp. True freshman quarterback out there getting ready to play in the SEC. And it always helps to run an effective trick play. Deebo Samuel takes the reverse and picks up 13, maybe 14 yards and a first down.
Well, and once again, Will and Roper didn't tell Robinson that they were going to run the trick play, and then you've got the guy who you can't hit blocking the defense, and everybody gets mad about that as well. Yeah,
I'm Bryson Allen Williams out there. I'm chasing after the ball carrier, and the guy I'm told I can't hit is blocking me. How does that work?
And you can't hit him back. I've had all these conversations, believe me, and they're all tough conversations.
David Williams for 4 yards on first down. Bob Wischusen here with Mac Brown. Shannon Spake down on the field. It's the spring game for South Carolina, and the first opportunity for the fans to get a look at their Gamecock team under Will Muschamp. Quarterback draw, Brandon McElwain. He can do this, and he will be down inside the 35-yard line. And Shannon Spake, we have obviously seen Brandon McElwain the best of both as he started off 3 for 3. Obviously, he's a runner as well, and it was fun to talk to Kurt Roper yesterday about all the different ways they think they can use him.
You know, and Bob, the thing that we heard Kurt Roper say yesterday was that he really is coachable. He said even when there's emotion involved, yelling, screaming, he takes what he needs to, the constructive stuff. Now, there was none of that on the sideline after that last possession, but he did immediately go up to Kurt Roper. They kind of discussed things. He also met with Deebo Samuel, so it's interesting to see how this young quarterback is trying to use his weapons, talk to his weapons, get on the same page, and certainly try to grow in this spring game.
Would you be worried, though, Coach, about how the other quarterbacks would react to Brandon McElwain when a true freshman comes in as an early enrollee from high school and jumps up to the top of the depth chart?
Well, you have to worry about it because chemistry in each of your rooms and your players and buying into the new staff and hoping they just don't want these young guys to come in. What about me as a senior? But we talked to one of the best offensive linemen, number 74, Mason Zandy, yesterday, and he's best friends with Perry Orth. And he said they all agreed that after last year's season, they just need to worry about winning and nothing else. And I think that's why this young man needs to prove himself. And today is a very important piece of that puzzle.
And now they put him in another situation here on third down with a bunch set. Off his back foot, fires a strike to Deebo Samuel, a little short of the first down, but he only has one incompletion so far. And I thought something else that Mason Zandy brought up about Brandon McElwain that was interesting was how he stepped in and had a command of the huddle he felt on day one.
Well, he's very matured. He does play baseball. He's a guy that he came in early to get the starting job. He wanted to stay in high school, and they said, if you want to start and play well, you better come in early. And I think the early returns are good.
Swing pass on fourth down. That's an easy conversion to Deebo Samuel.
Well, and Coach Muschamp doesn't want to be kicking field goals now because he knows his field goal kicker's good. He's one of the best in the country, so he's going to go for all fourth downs. But Deebo Samuel's the guy that's got to take Theo Cooper's place from last year. This guy's really good. They'll move him around. They'll put him in the slot, put him outside. He has tremendous speed. He's just a sophomore from Inman, South Carolina, and he is a guy that will make a difference for this football team in space.
McElwain is 5 of his first 6. Now he's got his team in the red zone, although that one's broken up. Rico McWilliams jumped Samuel and knocked it away.
Rico's a senior, been around for a long time. He's a good football player from Hampton, Georgia, Lovejoy High School. Very good play, getting the hand in there and knocking the ball loose against the best receiver for South Carolina. Those two guys work against each other every day, so this isn't new for them. You can see spread formations, Bob. They want to spread it out and play in space.
This time it's thrown behind the tight end, Casey Crosby. Gets a block and maybe picks up a couple. So it brings up 3rd down now in the red zone.
Yeah. Crosby's a redshirt sophomore. He's a 6'1", 225-pound guy. So when he gets the ball, he can go forward and make some extra yards.
Now, in terms of what Brandon McIlwain was going to see today, we talked to Will Muschamp, obviously the defensive coordinator as well, Travaris Robinson, about how he's not going to see today what he would see if he were the starter in actual SEC play to open the season. There will never be more than a 5-man pressure. You're not going to be sending guys to the edge. There's a flag down, so this is a run by McIlwain that will be coming back. So I guess this is a spring game for a true freshman quarterback where there's a balance that a coach wants to strike, right? You want to build his confidence, but at the same time try and give him something that's realistic to what he will see when regular season play rolls around if he turns out to be the guy.
Absolutely. Now it's holding by left tackle here, Mason Zandy, but you also can see the athletic ability that you have out of Brandon McIlwain because he can sprint left and go. And Coach Muschamp decided to turn that penalty down for the offense. So it is a touchdown. But again, he wants to see some positive things from his freshman quarterback, and good for him to have the 18-yard run for the score.
Now, how does your defensive group feel about that?
They don't like it, but he's the boss. So they're going to really gripe. They're not going to tell him.
So you got your true freshman quarterback out there, runs for a touchdown because basically your defensive end gets tackled, and the head coach, who's a defensive coach, says, "No, we'll take the touchdown."
Good job, Brandon. Good job, Brandon.
Earlier today, more than 100 Gamecock football lettermen took place in an alumni game, and this was the moment of the game. 1942 All-American Lou Sossaman scored, spiked it, and shook a lot of hands. The first All-American in South Carolina football history, approaching his 74th birthday. Lou Sossaman is here. Shannon Spake is down there with him.
You know, Bob, there are some interviews that are absolutely cooler than others, and this is definitely one of those. Sir, we just showed the highlights of your touchdown in the alumni game earlier. What was that like for you crossing that finish line, and where'd you get all that power for the spike?
Well, I made one touchdown in professional football, and I did the same thing. I ran about 40 yards, threw the ball down, ran over to the bench so all the players could congratulate me. Coach said, "Get back in there and center the ball." I had to go back and center the ball after I made the touchdown.
I played center and linebacker, of course, here in Columbia, but I did read a story where you actually got yelled at by a coach one time for checking out a pretty young lady on the sideline. Can you tell me about that story?
Well, it was my first varsity game. When I was playing football at university on this field, freshmen could not play varsity football. So what I did, I had my eye on a young lady who was a cheerleader. And the coach, Rex Enright, called me over to the sideline. And he said, "Louis, you're supposed to be playing football, not watching the cheerleaders."
And, of course, that woman turned out to be...
She later became my wife.
What a great story. And, of course, your wife, Kat, her father was a coach here at South Carolina.
He was a coach, yeah. In the early years of 1916, around that time.
Yeah.
He was a medical doctor, and he coached football, and enjoyed it so much.
What a story. You've been part of this program for such a long time. Thank you, sir, so much for joining us, and congratulations on that touchdown.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed doing that. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks so much.
This is a mighty nice occasion here for this. An honor to the boys, and my pleasure to have attended the University of South Carolina from a standpoint of social life throughout my life and the education I received. But I'm very indebted to the university for what I can do to return that favor for me.
Thanks so much, Coach. Back to you, Bob.
All right, Shannon, thanks very much. I guess when you play center and linebacker, even if it takes you to you're almost 74 years old, he's been waiting a long time to spike the football. He did have a little extra oomph.
But it wasn't a penalty back then, Bob. They didn't have all these crazy rules. You could actually have some fun after you scored.
Connor Mitch has it knocked down at the line. And you want to talk about a guy that was pretty tough back in his day playing football? That's Lou Sossaman. Upside down.
He scored without a face mask back then. He scored without a face mask today. Not much difference.
Played 3 seasons with the New York Yankees as well. So
and that wasn't in baseball, right?
That's right. In the mold of Brandon McIlwain is playing baseball here at South Carolina, and as the quarterback right now watching Connor Mitch run the 2s against the 2s. And Mitch will scramble and pick up about 2. Lorenz Bryant came up to make the stop. Now there are some notable players as well for South Carolina not playing today, especially at linebacker. Jonathan Walton, who had 6 starts last year. He became a father last night, so he is with his new child. He is not able to play today. And Sky Moore, who really is the bell cow of that defense, he has a neck sprain. He hasn't practiced all spring, but he was thinking about going pro after being an all-SEC second-team selection by the coaches and the media last year. But he called Will Muschamp after Will Muschamp got the job. And that conversation led to the best defensive player, arguably, that the Gamecocks have, deciding to come back and be part of this new era with Will Muschamp as the head coach.
And one of the advantages Will has, he worked with Nick Saban with the Miami Dolphins. He's been at the NFL level, so he can be honest with his guys and say, you're not ready, you are ready, go if you're making enough money. But they're really, really excited about Sky's future, and it was a great recruiting coup for him to get him to come back.
And off to Rod Talley. And now the 2s are in the red zone.
2s are in the red zone against the 2s, and you feel like that's fair because you want the guys to compete against guys at their level. And what they were concerned about, you get a 1 defense against a 2 or 3 offensive linemen. It's really dangerous for the offensive players other than those offensive linemen when the number 1s can tackle them so easily. So this is more competitive.
Now Coach Muschamp out there to get the view from right behind the quarterback, and he sees his offensive line open up a hole for Rod Talley, and that's a first down inside the 15.
And they need the 2s to move the ball because the 1s have been out there on offense too much, and you don't want to wear them all out. So you try to keep the numbers balanced, and that's the other thing Coach Muschamp's trying to do. Defense, stay straight. Let them move the ball a little bit here.
Now the officials all have whistles. You can see Coach Muschamp also has a whistle as there are flags down, so the officials will blow their whistle before this play even gets started. That'll be a false start.
32 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And that's Rod Talley. The whistle that Will Muschamp has is specific to what? When he blows the play dead, why?
He has got the play for the quarterback only. The other officials are calling the game like they would call an SEC game. Will's calling it to get what he wants. So stay off the quarterback. If he wants him to scramble, because you got to have the linebackers and the secondary come up and make a play, even though he was tackled, he's going to say, let it go. I'm worried about the angles of the defense, the pursuit angles. I want to see my quarterback turn up. I'm not worried about whether it would have been a sack or not.
A.J. Turner picks up a yard.
You did see Talley had the motion penalty, and he came out fast. We were talking yesterday to Kurt Roper, and he said, don't screw it up, basically. Make sure you get the ball snapped in time, stay on sides, protect the ball. Fundamentally sound.
Looking for the back pylon is Connor Mitch. Up against the hedges, but out of bounds. The catch was made by Charleston, but according to the officials, didn't get a foot down, so it'll be 3rd down at 14.
And I think we're seeing Connor Mitch make some good plays here. He's healthy. He didn't get to play last year after the early start with his injuries, but that's a pretty good throw. Got to keep it in the grass. Don't get it too far to the outside, but give your guy a chance. And Connor's still competing for snaps in the fall, too. I promise you, this young man hadn't given up.
And the end zone and broken up. So that will set up 4th down. We'll see if they'll kick a field goal or if we're going to have the offense stay out there. It looks like it's going to be a field goal attempt.
can remember my first game on the road at North Carolina, Bob. I was here, and I heard like Shannon, the 2001 Space Odyssey. We had so many freshmen, they were throwing up in the dressing room. I wouldn't let them come out till after the song. So it does make a big difference here.
We'll get a 35-yard field goal attempt for Elliott Fry to try to get the 2s on the board. Not much resistance, and that kick is no good. Hooked it to the left.
It's a little bit tougher for the kickers and punters when you know they're not rushing. It can get your rhythm off, and it doesn't seem like it should, but it really does, because you don't have the urgency, and sometimes you might take a little bit different approach, and you can have kickers have bad days today, and also with this 30-mile gusting wind.
Well, Elliott Fry was an all-SEC freshman selection last year, and a second-team all-SEC kicker as well. Had a great year. And if there's a guy on the team whose job is safe regardless of what happens today, it's Elliott Fry, as he has made a school record 124 extra points in a row. Check that, all freshman 2013. So he's going to be going into his senior season as, and special teams for Will Muschamp's pretty much set. He's got a good punter in Sean Kelly, he has a good kicker in Elliott Fry. And I would have to think that that's at least a little bit of a security blanket when there's so much uncertainty at so many other important positions in college football, to have some kickers, you know, you can count on.
It is. They're a little concerned in the secondary. They're a little concerned with the wideouts. They've signed 5. They've got the #1 junior college player, Jamarcus King from Coffeyville Junior College out of Mobile, coming in. He's signed, so he should come in and have a chance to start immediately. But kicking game can really help them stay in some ball games, Bob.
That takes us to the end of the first quarter. The spring game will continue here in Columbia. Brandon McElwain has a touchdown run, helped out by a holding penalty.
It's a great crowd here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Of course, they're all here for the spring game. Coach, let's focus on your quarterbacks during this first quarter. You had them in some red zone situations, some third down. What do you think about their decision making?
Well, I think they've made really good decisions. We got a lot of wind out here. That's affecting the throwing game a little bit, but had 2 really good drives down the field. We had an offsides penalty down there on the running back. We can't have that happen in the red zone, but very pleased with their performance so far.
Anything else that stands out to you that you'll be watching in the second?
Well, we seem to be pretty crisp on defense, running the football, finishing, seem to be tackling well. We've played the perimeter throws much better than we have all spring to this point. We need to block a little better on the perimeter on offense.
Thanks, Coach.
All righty, thank you.
All right, Shannon, thanks very much. Shannon Spake downstairs, Bob Wischusen and Mack Brown upstairs. And you went through this many, many times. Running a spring game where you're trying to check a lot of boxes. You were an offensive coach. Obviously, Will Muschamp's a defensive coach. How do you call plays to balance it, knowing that when something goes well for one side or the other of the football team, it means something negative happened for the opposing 11? So you're building confidence in one direction, but maybe hurting confidence in the other. And how do you guarantee that both sides of the ball play well?
Well, you don't. Today you worry about quarterbacks. That's their #1 issue. They can fix everything else. They've got to have a quarterback ready to play in an opener on the road against Vanderbilt.
Looking deep for Deebo Samuel. Underthrowing it is Connor Mitch, but a flag out. Shannon James was there in coverage.
And Will said Connor Mitch would play some with the ones today. He's out there with Deebo Smith.
Number 35, 15-yard penalty, first down.
A little bit underthrown. A lot of wind, though. We said it, 30-mile-an-hour winds today, so it's going to make that ball change. What you were asking, Bob, the head coach leaves mad today either way. He cannot be happy. If the offense makes a play, he's mad at the defense. So he has to say, good job, offense, you stink, defense. Pick it up over there. Defense makes a play. Come on, offense. Good pass rush, defense. Head coaches are miserable after spring games. They just want everybody healthy.
Power run to the left-hand side to A.J. Turner, and he's breaking tackles inside the 45 to the 44-yard line for a gain of 5.
They like Turner, redshirt freshman from Clifton, Virginia. Guy can fly. He's got really good hands. They think he is the number 2 back right now, and he's a guy that can be productive on third down out of the backfield.
That's a player they described as having top-end speed. Kurt Roper thinks if you can get A.J. Turner the ball in space this year, that he can be a player that has a role on an offense that right now is going to be looking for production. They don't really have any returning players in any personnel group, fullbacks and tight ends, running backs or wide receivers, that have put together big offensive numbers at any point in their South Carolina careers so far. David Williams, and there's a flag down. Looked like he may have had the face mask pulled. Dexter Weidman was there to make the tackle.
I see. Coach Muschamp likes that now. He's wanting that ball moved. Get it on the other end. Get some points in this game. The other thing, Bob, is all your fans are watching this on TV or at the game. He got to go to a lot of alumni meetings between now and August, and he doesn't want to answer why they didn't score any points in the spring game. So you always need points in the spring game.
Connor Mitch looking end zone. He's got one-on-one coverage, but throws it up over the head of Javon Charleston. Or check that, Brian Edwards. Edwards is an early enrollee, true freshman at wide receiver as well, and they've got high hopes as he decided in January of his senior year of high school to come in early to Columbia and join the spring football practice, and jumped right up to the top of the depth chart as well at wide receiver.
Brian, 6'3", 205-pound freshman from Conway, South Carolina. They think he's a lot like Debo Smith. They're really excited about him.
Diving forward for 5.5 yards is David Williams.
David's got to be their go-to guy. He's a big guy. He's a powerful guy. And the last couple of practices, they've seen him plant his foot and go north and south, and that's what they really want out of him. Big third down here. And good for Will that he puts Connor Mitch out there with the ones to give him his shot.
Mitch so far 2 for 7 for 31 yards. There, an accurate throw, though, and there's Debo Samuel breaking a tackle inside the 10. Strong run after the catch by Debo Samuel. So it's 1st and goal.
Got the ball out of his hands quickly. Debo catches it on the flat slant and turns it up quickly.
Went right back up to the line and ran a little read option, and David Williams at the mesh point lost his balance and was swamped under for a loss of a yard.
Looked like Connor wanted to keep it, and David wanted to have it, and David pulled harder on the ball. It's also tough when you're running a read option and your quarterback, who you can't hit, turns up on the option. Nobody can touch him. It gets really interesting with the defense then. And I doubt if Connor and David have worked very much on that read play since Connor's been working with the twos.
This time the handoff on the cutback inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line to David Williams. Actually, they'll mark him down at the 8, so we got a yard back. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
Bob, you have to give Sean Elliott a whole lot of credit. He took over when Coach Spurrier stepped down, and he led the football team to the best of his ability. He's recruited really well. They're good in the offensive line, and it's very unique for Coach Muschamp to come in and take the guy who was the head coach at the end of the year and let him stay on the staff and coach the offensive line. So Sean Elliott is a good football coach.
Connor Mitch under pressure, and that should be a sack. As the officials will blow it dead, Will Muschamp will blow it dead. Back close to the 20-yard line as Boozy Whitlow got loose around the end and gets the sack.
Boozy is a guy that's really quick. They're looking for pass rushers. That's probably a place that he can make the football team. The last staff was really high on him, and I think he's a guy this staff really wants to come on. They need him to really get some productive yards. Big guy, quick guy, just a sophomore. He's a guy they need to make some plays.
Well, if South Carolina's going to win games this year, it's pretty obvious they will win because their defense carries them. Youth at quarterback, not a lot of production at the skill position players coming back, and a team that last year was 110th in FBS in scoring. So they'll need players like Boozy Whitlow to make impact plays defensively. The ones for South Carolina have 10 points on the board. The twos have yet to score. Bob Wischusen, Mack Brown, Shannon Spake, watching the true freshman Brandon McElwain. And coach, he is a true dual threat quarterback, early enrollee, and did some things that Will Muschamp liked in the first quarter.
I think they like everything they're seeing out of him right now. He's got the strong running ability. He's quick. He can scramble. He had the 18-yard run for a touchdown. His throwing has been okay today into this heavy wind, but he hadn't turned the ball over yet, Bob, and that's something that they talked about yesterday. Manage the game, manage the offense, and he's got a chance to be a really good player.
Let's head down to Shannon.
That's right. I'm here with Athletic Director Ray Tanner, who, of course, was also the head baseball coach here for a very long time, 16 years. What do you think about this turnout, first of all?
Well, this is very exciting to have so many people today, and we had the Letterman's football game earlier, and all these fans are anxious to see what Coach Muschamp's going to bring to the Gamecocks.
You know, I know that these players are excited to see what he's going to bring as well. We were told that they sat down with you at one point before the hiring and told you all of the things that they wanted out of a head coach. What were some of those things?
Well, it was really exciting because I felt like I was back in the locker room again. I had approached a couple of the older players about sitting down and talking about some things that would be important to the team, and they suggested we bring the whole team in. So we did it on 2 different occasions, and we sat down, and they told me all the things they were looking for in a new leader, and I listened, I took notes, and I promised them that I would try to find a person with those characteristics. And another thing they asked me to do is to make sure that they got a chance to meet the head coach before it was announced to the nation. So we were able to do that, but it was very important to them that we hired someone with high energy that was going to hold them accountable, and Coach Will Muschamp fits that bill for sure.
He certainly does. You know, you can critique Brandon McElwain on both levels, right? He's a dual sport athlete. He plays baseball. He also plays football. What do you think about what he brings to this team?
Well, he's a high caliber person. He's a high caliber character person, and he's very, very talented. I got a chance to see him scrimmage a little bit in baseball in the preseason before spring football started, and he's very talented. The one weekend he had 2 home runs, and he came out here and he's picked up the system in a short period of time. He's an exciting player. He's going to be a great Gamecock.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bob, back to you.
All right, Shannon, thanks very much. And don't think that Brandon McElwain's day is done, by the way, because Michael Scarnecchia was out there playing quarterback. Connor Mitch had a chance to play with the ones. So obviously Coach Muschamp doesn't want a quarterback out there 2 consecutive series, but he also doesn't want Brandon McElwain playing with the backups. So Scarnecchia just got an opportunity, but it was a 3 and out. But we are going to see Coach Brandon McElwain play all the way through this game. And the second half, the coach has made it clear to us the ball's going to be in the air.
He said throw it every snap if you need to, because we need to let Brandon have an opportunity to get the ball in the air.
Now we got a muffed punt that is recovered by the Garnet team as Chris Lamons dropped the ball. The day of spring football continues here on the SEC ESPN Network. 4 Eastern, Auburn's spring game at Jordan-Hare. And then finally at 6, we'll head to A&M, College Station. They'll have their first spring game at Kyle Field since 2013 because of the renovations. A great day of spring football to check out Auburn and A&M. All games also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app.
Brandon McElwain to be quarterback.
So now McElwain is back in at quarterback. That's a backwards pass. Deebo Samuel, the trick play, floats it down the sideline, and running under it is David Williams. The backwards pass, and Deebo Samuel is able to throw for 28 yards.
This is the fun part of the spring game. You're not going to show anything today that Will didn't show at Florida, and that was really something that he thought was paramount for these coaches. Don't give away anything we've done at South Carolina that we haven't done before. But defense need to see those plays, and it's fun to have them on offense, and now everybody uses them as part of their offense.
Long throw outside the numbers, and that's the kind of throw that if you're a coach of a freshman quarterback, you're wondering, can he make against an SEC defense at this level? And that to me, I think, Coach, is probably the best window that you're going to have. Throw with anticipation all the way to the sideline across the field. That was impressive by McElwain.
Well, number one, to have enough confidence to throw it. Number two, be able to get it there and have it as a strike. It's really good throw.
Swing passes on time to Casey Crosby. He's to the 20-yard line.
They're going to try to play in space. They want Brandon to work on his touch a little bit. They felt like he throws the ball too hard some. A lot of young, talented players do that. But they've got the tight ends, Crosby and Hurst. They've got the running back, Turner. They've got Deebo Samuels. They've got to take every guy that they can with speed and athletic ability and try to continue to be a disciplined, tough team, but get those guys in space so they can make plays.
Trap a handoff on 2nd down and 1. It's a 1st down and more. Inside the 10, down to the 8-yard line goes Williams.
Well, what a great run. Showed patience. He looked up inside. It wasn't there. He delayed a little bit. He planted his foot. He went north and south. And that's what the coaches are really trying to look for.
He gains 12, and it's 1st and goal.
Young Jasper Sasser stepping up in there to try to make the play against the big back.
McElwain will run it, and they will rule him down at about the 5-yard line.
They're going to make their quarterback part of the running game. That's why Brandon's so important for them. That was a quarterback power off to the right side when you had motion going to the field to try to move the linebackers to the field and then bring the quarterback back to the short side. And you're going to have play calls here to try to test McElwain. That's what they're trying to do. It doesn't have anything to do with fall. They're trying to see what the young guy can do best on the goal line.
Well, McElwain looked a little confused before this next play, looking over to the sideline to get the signals for the next play in. Play action, and he'll lob it into the end zone. That's incomplete. What about just installation at this level? Verbiage, terminology, all the different schematic things that a quarterback has to be aware of. Just a true freshman looking over to the sideline, seeing 3 different guys sending 3 different signals his way. I mean, how complicated and how much do you think they have installed at this point? How much more work does he have to do before the year starts?
You try to install a lot to see what they can handle, then cut it down for this game. But if he waits longer than the play clock, they're probably not going to stop it. They're going to say, okay, let him play. Let him go. Because they want to see how he can handle having plays sent in from the sideline, even though you do that every day in practice.
Lobs one to the pylon here, and that's a terrific touch throw. True freshman to Brian Edwards. And Edwards went right into the hedges, and he is slow to get up.
He would have been a lot slower. He'd been a lot slower if he dropped it, Bob. I can tell you, he will get up. Really good drive. South Carolina fans and coaches will be excited about freshman McElwain to freshman Edwards. They think they may see that throw and catch to those two for many years.
Brandon McElwain finds Brian Edwards. A really nice touch throw, and we saw on that drive that McElwain not only can run the ball, but also the arm strength to get the ball to the sideline outside the numbers, and then down inside the 5-yard line, he can put touch on the ball as well.
Now we're going to fake.
And the extra point attempt is good.
And that's a 2-point conversion, I guess. Let's take a look at Brandon McElwain here, Coach. Throwing it outside the numbers and then using touchdown close as well.
He's got everything you need. He's got the arm, he's got the touch, he's got the legs. All good.
Welcome back. We have details on the 2-point conversion that was good. It was Melvin Ingram that just caught the 2-point play. The 2011 All-American linebacker here at South Carolina plays in the NFL with the Chargers.
And he was kind of offside, and there were 12 on offense, but Coach Muschamp's whistle did not blow. So I think it's a little fun, and it works.
Yeah, you got to love the spring game.
You got to love the spring game.
That celebrity appearance wasn't shared with us. So.
No.
We're getting the details as they come, but Melvin Ingram, one of the Gamecock greats, on hand today for the Garnet and Black game. And
you got some work to do. You want to have some fun. You want to. They have a history here, a tradition of bringing a celebrity back. So I'm sure Will wanted to continue that that part of it. But he's also got his ones up 18-0. If you're a head coach, your young quarterback's looking good, your running game's doing well. That's what you want.
Connor Mitch back in at quarterback now, running with the twos and trying to get them on the board. Tackle made behind the line of scrimmage by T.J. Holloman on Darius Polk.
They love Holloman. Great leader, smart, a guy that makes a big difference in this football team, and they need him to step up and do well. They actually blitzed him that time, so you can see a little more blitzing with the twos against the twos than with the ones. He's making those ones stay really, really straight because he's trying to get this offense on track.
Wide open, a little drag route underneath Matrick Belton, and he's down inside the 35-yard line before he's finally brought down. So a blown coverage by the second defense for South Carolina, and it's a gain of 32 for Belton.
Well, one of the things we got to remember is they're looking at Brandon McElwain. Connor Mitch has played a lot of football. He's been around, so he can make some plays.
Spinning in the backfield is Polk, and did well.
And we've got Perry Orth that's not playing today. So they do have some quarterbacks. What they've got to do is decide what direction they're going to go and which guys get the reps, because that's what gets complicated in the fall.
Well, they told us yesterday that schematically on defense, there were never going to be anything more than 5-man pressures out of a 4-down defensive look. So there are no exotic blitzes today. Here's a end around once again. Jamari Smith makes a move and picks up a first down. And I guess in terms of preparing a true freshman quarterback like McElwain, if he turns out to be the guy, and there's an entire fall camp out in front of this program before they figure out who their quarterback's going to be. But how do you balance getting him ready, building his confidence, showing him some pressures that he might see in the regular season, but not overwhelming him with anything today that might hurt his confidence, when this is the first time he's out here in front of a big crowd with some live bullets flying?
I think you want to let him play. Let him have some fun. Let him feel good about the day. He needs to leave here with confidence, and his teammates and coaches need to feel like he has a chance to be the guy. He's not ready today to play as a starter, but he may be by fall. Really good lick here. You see they're blitzing a little bit more now with the twos. Good throw. Big hit. Like these hits in the spring game.
That's T.J. Holloman again. You said they liked him, and that's why.
Yeah, T.J.'s from Stone Mountain, Georgia, and he is one of the favorite players on this football team from the coaches and the players.
That'll be 3rd down and 5 for the twos against the twos as Christian Owens was stood up. And I guess it is an interesting balance when you're trying to get something out of today for young quarterbacks. But you know, if Brandon McElwain turns out to be the guy to start the season, 3 of the first 4 games for South Carolina are SEC games on the road. They start at Vanderbilt, week 2 at Mississippi State, week 4 at Kentucky. Now, those are not the heavy hitters in the SEC. We certainly understand that. That is about as soft an opening as you probably can get in the league. But that's 3 road games to start the year in conference play. As that pass sails out of bounds, intended for Owens, there is a flag down. But you have to know on September 1st, Coach, if it's a true freshman quarterback out there, the kitchen sink is coming from Vanderbilt at Brandon McElwain. How do you get him ready for that?
Well, it's really difficult. You keep it as simple as you can. You do a lot of max protections. You try to keep as few decisions from him as you can. You run him quite a bit. But you're right, Bob, and that's the biggest decision that Coach Roper and Coach Muschamp will have to make. Do you go with the older guy, Perry Orth, or Connor Mitch, because they've been there in these early games on the road, and bring Brandon off the bench? Or do you start him and throw it all at him and say it's yours? And then if it doesn't work well, I will say that fans turn on players pretty quickly. That backup quarterback's unbelievable till he has to play, and then he's not as good. But I will say there are going to be 40,000 fans today that announce Brandon will be the starter as soon as they leave this stadium. So that's another issue Will's got all spring.
They called pass interference in the end zone. So here's a handoff using the stiff arm as Pauk tries to get outside and is brought down at the 2. It'll be 2nd down and goal. True freshman linebacker Daniel Fennell made the stop.
Down to the 1-yard line.
Second half of this game will feature 2 15-minute quarters with running clock, but it will also feature nothing but the ball in the air for the most part. According to Will Muschamp, he wants to see the ball in the air as much as possible and get Brandon McIlwain as many throws as he possibly can in this spring game in a competitive environment. And now the pile pushes to the end zone, and that is a touchdown for the 2s.
And you saw if it was close, Coach Muschamp said, okay, I want to get me a 1-minute drive here with 51 seconds left. Give it to him. Touchdown.
So Darius Polk is able to force it across the goal line and get the 2s for South Carolina on the board here in the spring game. And engineered it perfectly. You're right. 51 seconds up there. As the black team still has 3 timeouts. That's the 1s. So he'll send his true freshman quarterback out there with a chance in a very realistic game situation. Use your timeouts and use 51 seconds and run hurry up.
Well, and he got some goal line work with the 2s, and now he gets some 1-minute work with the 1s, and that's exactly what he wanted.
We've got an outstanding baseball doubleheader for you tomorrow afternoon here on the SEC Network. At 1 Eastern, number 21 Arkansas squares off against 15th ranked Ole Miss. And then at 4, junior first baseman Peter Alonso powers the top-ranked Gators against Mississippi State at McKeithen Stadium in Gainesville. Both games right here on the SEC ESPN Network and streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. So let's take a look at the 2 quarterbacks and what we've seen so far here in the first half. Coach, what jumps out at you taking a look at McIlwain first?
Athletic ability. Seems confident. He carries himself with really good body language. Strong arm. Been very accurate. Hasn't even been near an interception. Has the ability to make the good play out of the bad play, but he's really taking care of the ball. Mitch has been very accurate. You can see he's the older guy. He doesn't have the same running ability as Brandon. He can run here, but it's not the same for him. So I think that would be where Brandon would have the advantage. Mitch has had a couple of tough throws, but Mitch has also been impressive today.
Well, McIlwain just dropped one in, running the 2-minute drill, and it was a perfect throw to start off the 2-minute drill, picking up 31 yards down the sideline to Javon Charleston.
Got to get that first down. Now he's having to watch the clock. Now he's having to manage the sideline. This is a great drill for this young man. Learning situation.
Will Muschamp, standing about 10 yards behind his quarterback, does want him to hurry up.
Get out of bounds. Out of bounds.
And they will say that Charleston got out of bounds. And this is a look back at the throw that started this drive.
He had some pressure. It's a perfect throw over the outside shoulder, but in bounds. This young man's made some very impressive throws today. Wilson, pick it up. Hurry.
Well, now they're down to 9 seconds, and they haven't spent any timeouts.
Well, they may put some time back on the clock.
5 seconds.
Yes.
25 seconds. The game clock will start on the snap. The game clock will start on the snap.
Yeah, when they set the ball ready for play, the game clock started. So obviously that is a timing error, so it takes it back up to 25 seconds and allows McIlwain to run the hurry up with 3 timeouts and at least try and get his group into field goal range, if not into the end zone.
And Coach Muschamp wanted 25 more seconds. So regardless of what the officials called, put it back on. Out of bounds, stretch the field, get out of bounds, get your first down.
Turner inside the 10 or inside the 15, knocked out of bounds at the 13-yard line, preserving the timeouts with 18 seconds to go. It's a gain of 20.
Now you're at the inside the 20-yard line. You're inside the 15, about the 12. You've got 20 seconds left. You try to get the score, but you keep the right to kick and make sure that you don't turn the ball over.
Now it's 2nd down and 10.
Seemed like a busted route, freshman to freshman. It could very well have happened. A little confusion on the connection there. 17 seconds. You're at second down. Try to get the score. Keep the right to kick the field goal. That's what Will's telling him. Be smart with the ball. If you scramble, you got to have a timeout in your pocket.
He's got all three, or check that at least two. It looks like they spent a timeout. Wide open in the end zone. Doesn't get much easier than that. A lob touchdown. The second time it's freshman to freshman as McElwain hits Edwards for the score.
Head coach is happy. He'll be mad at the corner, but he's happy about the offense. He's happy about the 1-minute drive. And he got accomplished exactly what he needed to. Young quarterback steps back. He looks down the middle of the field. He throws to Edwards over the right-hand corner. He's wide open. Sometimes that's a hard throw, Bob, because he's so wide open, you short arm it. But this young man's playing with a lot of confidence for a high school senior. Prom next week or game today. It's about what he's got.
Just about takes us to halftime. 12 seconds to go in the first half. And again, when we come back after halftime, we'll have 2 15-minute running time quarters in the second half. And it looks like Will Muschamp's just going to say, run the clock. That's good enough. I've seen enough. That will take us to halftime. And in the third quarter, it will be Mack Brown down on the field, mic'd up, as will Will Muschamp. And they'll just talk the third quarter through. And speaking of talking to Will Muschamp, Shannon Spake's ready to do just that.
Coach, you know, a lot of these games are going to come down to the last few plays. What do you think about the way they handled that drill to end this half?
Well, we wanted to get a 1-minute situation for the half. We had a little foul up on the clock there, but we got that straightened out. But Brandon's got a lot of command. See Brian Edwards make some plays in those situations. I think it's great.
Brian Edwards had the touchdown earlier in this quarter. It was set up by those 2 big passes by McElwain. What do you think about the accuracy and power you saw?
Throwing the ball extremely well. The field out's been the best throw he made all day today. So that was an outstanding throw. He's made a couple really good decisions in tight coverage to throw the ball away. It's all about the decision making, and he's really good.
You told us there was going to be a lot of passing in the second. We know we have the win. How much of a balance will there be?
No, we're going to throw it a bunch. The wind may blow next fall, so we got to get ready for it.
That's a good point. Thanks, Coach.
All right, Shannon, thanks very much. Coming up on our halftime report, Dari Noka and Clint Sterner caught up with Will Muschamp on the spring tour. Stay tuned for that.
Here at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia with first-year South Carolina head coach Will Muschamp. What's the most intriguing part of this job for you?
Well, I think as much as anything, getting to know the players. That is always, trust is a two-way street between a player and a coach, and you've got to earn it on both sides. And that's what we're in the process of doing right now.
What's the biggest challenge to getting off the ground and running?
Well, I think as much as anything is building that trust within your players and understanding, you know, sometimes in life, and I always say this, is that change is inevitable, growth is optional. And these guys have really grown with us. They've really worked hard and been really pleased with their work ethic so far. We've got to improve our roster in some spots, but at the end of the day, they're working extremely hard.
How do you deal with that, Coach? The expectations of winning early in coaching, definitely in the SEC, taking over a new program. How do you manage of when and where to move forward in that process?
Well, no one's got higher expectations than myself and our staff. That's the number one thing, and we're going to expect a high level every day from our players. We understand that, but I'm also going to go back to what Coach Spurrier used to always say: you are what your record is. And we're 3-9. We're a 3-9 program. I'm a 3-9 head coach. Whether I was here or not, it really doesn't matter. It's about taking ownership in where we are right now and what do we got to do to get out of that, and that's what we're working on right now.
Sure. How does this compare to the day you took over as a head coach at Florida? This situation itself compare when you took it over? I understand that there was a lot went on there and going to be a lot goes on here, but when you took it over, how does this compare?
Well, I think, you know, as much as anything, there's a lot of similarities from a standpoint of newness, of new staff, all of those things, and obviously been through it once before certainly has helped me in the experience.
You come over and, again, essentially charged with turning around a defense a little bit. You were at Auburn. You brought T-Rob, Travaris Robinson, over as your defensive coordinator. How do you and he work together day to day? How involved are you going to be day to day with that defense?
Well, I coach the safeties on the practice. You'll see that today out at practice. I'm very involved schematically. I'm very involved in the day-to-day operation defensively. That's where my strengths are as a coach. So I think it's important for you to play to your strengths as a coach, and that's why I'm involved defensively. But he does an outstanding job. He understands how we want to play here defensively. He does a great job with our players, relating with our players, as well as our entire staff.
Coach, there's no doubt that defense will be something to reckon with what South Carolina has to offer, and obviously your background. Let's talk a little bit about offense. What about? I know you've spent some time with Coach Roper before, but talk about how you manage, I guess, seeing that offense grow. Being a defensive-minded head coach?
Well, I try as much as anything, and I met with our offensive staff this morning just to talk to them about things that gives defenses problems. Some things they may think gives a defense issues really doesn't.
Right.
But I look at things from a different perspective defensively of what gives us problems and issues. We need to find a quarterback. That's number one. We're repping a lot of guys. We're going through that right now. We need to continue to find playmakers offensively. You lose Pharaoh Cooper and some of the guys we lost from the team last year. So we're continuing to work through that process, and those guys have done nice job.
I know Kurt Roper and Brian McClendon are coaching the offensive side, and you've got several guys in the hunt for that quarterback job. Whose ultimate decision is that? You're the head guy. You're also more of a defensive-minded guy. Do they come to you and say, here's who we think it is, and you give the ultimate okay, or is this in their hands to some degree?
Well, Kurt and I will sit down, and I'll make the final decision on what we're going to do, but certainly I lean on him heavily. Here's a guy that's developed Eli Manning. I mean, he's really good with developing the quarterback position, and I'm going to lean on him heavily on this situation.
Coach, you talk about developing quarterbacks. What exactly in your system or Coach Roper's system is that identity of a quarterback? You've got a couple of dual threat guys. You've got some guys that are more pocket type passers. Ideally, what is your type of quarterback that you want to see quarterback the Gamecocks?
One that wins. Yeah, I got asked in my introductory press conference about the same characteristics we're looking for, and I used Connor Shaw. He was a guy that hurt you with his arm. He hurt you with his legs. He was a winner, and that's really the hard-edged, tough leader that we need to lead our football program.
When you hear over the years, I know you had to have heard it, the common criticism, well, his defenses at Florida were great, but he couldn't get us an offense that could win. What's your reaction to that?
Well, there's no doubt that at the end of the day, it all falls on my shoulders, whether it was from a scheme standpoint, whether it was from a staff standpoint or personnel, whatever it was. And I think there was multiple issues within that, what we just talked about. So we just need to improve ourselves there. I think I'm really excited about our staff, and we'll continue to build our roster the right way.
In what way do you think you learned from the experience there on the offensive side of the football that will lead to a change here? Or
well, I don't know that a lot of learning was done. At the end of the day, I knew at the end of the day, we needed to get more production in certain positions, and we never did. And that's the bottom line. But again, that falls on my shoulders.
Coach, I love what you said earlier. I've heard you say it in press conferences before about growth. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional. Where is this team? I know you've had just a small sample size of time with him. Where is this team in that growth right now, according to your expectations?
As far as the buy-in is concerned, I'm extremely pleased. As far as the work ethic, the approach to what we're trying to do, the openness to change, that's been great. You know, we got to continue to build the roster the right way, and that's what we're working on right now.
You'll look back at the end of this season at what has happened in the fall, and you'll say it will have been a success if what?
We're playing in Atlanta. That's the goal at South Carolina every year, is to go to Atlanta, play in the SEC championship game. No matter if it's our first year or our 10th year, that's what we want to do.
Coach, what guys, I've been through a coaching change and went from a 4-win season to a 9-win season back to back. So it's definitely possible. But what guys on this football team have you already identified, whether it be senior leaders or just a guy that by position he has to be a leader? Or are you leaning on? Can you identify right now?
It would be really hard pressed for me to state anyone right now. We've just finished 4 days of spring. We had a full-week all-season program. There's been a lot of bright spots as far as work ethic is concerned. We're looking for the consistency in performance every single day of doing it all the time. We've got a good group of guys that are doing that. Not enough at this time.
South Carolina head football coach Will Muschamp. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Appreciate it, guys.
Back to Columbia a little bit later in the show.
It is the South Carolina spring football game. Good to hear from Will Muschamp. Thanks to Clint Sterner and Dari Noka. As Will Muschamp's pretty happy with what he saw in the first half. How happy? Well, Mack Brown will talk to him coming up shortly to start the third quarter. Just about set for the start of the third quarter of the South Carolina spring football game, and Mack Brown told you it's all about the quarterbacks, and that was what Will Muschamp's focus was on in the first half, and our focus as well. Certainly when you have a true freshman early enrollee in Brandon McElwain, you want to see the full arsenal, and we saw that in the first half. He is a dual threat quarterback that can throw it, that can run it. He showed touch, throwing it to the back pylon a couple of times to Bryan Edwards. If he is going to have the job taken away, though, might be from Connor Mitch, who was the starter at the beginning of last season before suffering a shoulder injury against Kentucky and a hip injury that cost him the rest of the season as well. But he engineered a scoring drive before halftime. McElwain, though, very impressive. 13 of 17, 106 yards, a couple of touchdowns, running with the ones. A command of the huddle that the veteran offensive lineman Mason Zandy told us we would see, and we did see in the first half, no question about it. I'm Bob Wischusen upstairs. Shannon Spake and Mack Brown are both now downstairs, and we're going to have a very unique way of looking at the spring game through the eyes of the head coach to start off the third quarter. We are going to see Brandon McElwain throw the ball a heck of a lot in the second half. That was told to us yesterday by Will Muschamp and Kurt Roper, as they want to see all of their quarterbacks that are healthy for today's game have an opportunity, but specifically McElwain. He just can't get enough reps, and so they are going to have him out there in this second half throwing and throwing often. And to start off the third quarter, you can see there's Mack Brown as he is going to have a chance to talk through the first portion of the third quarter through the eyes of Will Muschamp as he is watching the games. That should be a lot of fun. Brandon McElwain was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Pennsylvania as a senior. He threw for over 1,700 yards and 17 touchdowns. He ran for over 1,500 yards and 27 touchdowns. Listed as the number 7 dual threat quarterback last season, but always a challenge when a true freshman decides to leave high school early to jump right to college football, but he looks about as ready as he could be. And it looks like the ones are going to start the second half with the football, so that means we should see Brandon McElwain right away. It'll be 15-minute running time quarters here in the second half. So we'll see what type of situations Will Muschamp puts Brandon McElwain in here in the third quarter. And it'll be fun to have Mack Brown down there to talk him through it. An on-field perspective for the coach as the return by A.J. Turner is ruled down back inside the 35-yard line. So it looks like Mack Brown is set to go down on the field with Will Muschamp. Coach, take it away.
August, September. Guys, I'm down here with Coach Muschamp on the sideline. It's an honor for me to be down here, and we're going to let the play run, but it looks like C.J. Turner pretty quick on that return. Will got some speed.
He really can run, Coach. He's got great hands out of the backfield. I've been really pleased with his spring.
Now, you said you were going to let Brandon McElwain turn it loose this second half, so we're going to see some throws?
We're going to throw it a bunch. I think the biggest thing for our quarterbacks right now is just making decisions, you know, and they've got to go out here and do it in front of a great fans and make decisions throwing the ball. It's a windy conditions, but that is what it is.
And you said you had 2 or 3 really good tight ends that you can play tight or spread out. Tell us about your tight ends.
Hayden Hurst right there. He was a really good athlete, played pro baseball for about 3 or 4 years, and is a guy that we're really excited about. And Casey Crosby's done some really good things for the entire spring, and he'll play some running back for us as well.
It looks like they give you so much flexibility being in tight or formations.
It's hard for a defense to count. You know, what exactly is that guy from a standpoint of creating a C area player, or is he flexed out? So it's hard for a defense to count.
A lot of wind down here that fans don't realize it's whipping. It's probably whipping at Augusta, too.
There ain't no doubt.
Tell us about what you've seen out of Brandon McElwain today.
A lot of command. To come out here as basically a high school senior in this crowd, in this environment, brand new terminology, all of the things you're going through as a quarterback, he's got a lot of command.
Thought he was so impressive in the 1-minute drill.
Really handled himself well. We had a little mishap with the clock there with the referee, but other than that, he's done really well.
I told him the head coach controls the clock today, so you wanted 25 seconds, you got 25 seconds.
Well, I declined the holding penalty down there for the first time in my life.
I've known you a long time. I've never seen you this positive on offense. So these offensive guys upstairs said, what are those defensive coaches thinking when he might have had a sack? And I said, doesn't matter what they think.
That's exactly
They don't have any input today, so that's part of it. What have you seen outside of McElwain that you're excited about today?
Well, just the crispness. We haven't had a lot of penalties. We had one false start down the red zone, which you can't have, but really our guys have come out and competed, and that's what they've done all spring. We've inherited an outstanding bunch of men. Good decision.
Again, he had a lot of pressure. He's not a very tall guy. Big guy's in his face, and he dumps the ball off.
Well, he tweaked his hamstring a little bit, and I told Roper, I said, I don't really know if we're going to go with him. And he said, no. Brandon came up to me and said, I'm going. So that's the kind of guy you want.
People forget he'd be getting ready for the prom. He's a senior in high school, so he's out here with all these older guys in front of a tremendous crowd today. Tremendous amount of pressure, but it looks like he's answered the bell.
Well, he handles things very well. He's got a lot of command. And Connor Mitch made a couple nice throws as well on third down. Michael Skarnecki is going to get some opportunities. And in the fall, we're going to have great competition. Perry Orth coming back and Lorenzo Nunez as well.
Well, you got a lot of guys, and your kicking game looks so strong, which will obviously help you. And people don't understand you've got numbers at quarterback. The problem's going to be separating them. And they have to separate themselves, and you don't have a lot of time between now and Vanderbilt to do it.
No, we've got 29 practices to be able to get ready. We won't take 29. We'll probably be about 26, and we're going to have to make some tough decisions early. But how they handle themselves over these next 113 days to August 1st is going to be really, really critical.
Well, let's get behind the offense because I've been run over before, and I'm getting older. You can get out of the way. You're still quick enough.
We may want to take a shot
We can actually jog, so yeah, so we don't get run over. I'd say if Shannon could do it, Luke could do it, you and I can do it.
So no doubt.
We can do that. Quarterback's smart enough to say, wait till the head coach gets back here. So that was smart.
All right. Sorry, Mike. It's okay.
Well, you said Coach Spurrier left good kids. They worked hard. They had a good attitude. And Steve's a Hall of Famer, so you've been so gracious about the success he had here. I know your two big rivals are Georgia and Clemson. It's funny that you've known Dabo Swinney. He came down to visit us a long time ago in Austin, but you're so close to Kirby. Tell us about that relationship with Kirby down at Georgia.
You know, Kirby's a great friend. He's an outstanding coach. He's a guy that, has accomplished so many things as defense coordinator at Alabama. But he and I, played together there at Georgia and then coached together at LSU and Valdosta State. Know each other extremely well. Our families know each other extremely well. But on game day, we'll get after each other. I can tell you that right now.
But you were cutting up the other day about it. It looked like it was taken a little out of context. Tell us what you said about the Georgia game and Kirby.
Well, I told him I look forward to whipping his butt. But he would say the same. But he would say the same thing, and of course our media took it a little different way.
Well, I don't think they added the first to the end. But in the media, we got to make it work. I mean, that's part of it.
No doubt.
Let's watch this next play. Why don't you go ahead and coach? What about the offensive line? You kept the offensive line coach unique.
Sean Elliott, he's outstanding. He's really good. He's a good teacher. As you always say, your tape's your resume as a coach, and he's got great tape. And I've played and competed against him. He's got a lot of passion, and he loves South Carolina. That was really important to get him to stay here in South Carolina.
Well, let's go up here and watch another play, Will, and see what we got right now. We got the twos with Skarnecki at quarterback, right?
Yes, Skarnecki and Mon Denson's a good, young, talented back that we've got. And really, we've got 9 offensive linemen on scholarship in the spring, and they've been taking every snap. So they don't get much of a break, but I'm real pleased with the progress we've made.
Tell us about this play.
Well, we're in a bunch look right here. We got a spacing concept, and it's a really nice job with Mike. I wish he could have put the ball on him. Really, Jamari should have set over the ball right there in the zone coverage and not drift a little bit. So really, that's on Jamari. Just sit down a little bit in the window. It would have been better off.
I like the fact that you're giving all the quarterbacks a chance today. You got your chance. You got to make it work.
Hey, no doubt. And there's no better atmosphere than right here. The most loyal fans in the country coming out and supporting our guys, and we really appreciate it.
Let's look at this next play and see what we have.
Let's see what we got here. It looks like pass just basically bet on the sets up front. We got an outside run game. We got the edge. You know, really right there, we got to have better run force from the secondaries. You know, Jasper's got to get down and set the edge of the defense.
I said the head coach is never happy after a spring game. Great job, offense. Come on, you got to support better on defense.
Exactly right.
It doesn't work. You're mad at somebody every play.
Coach McKissick was here last week, and he said, you know, I hate scrimmaging myself. He said for that very reason, he goes, I can get really happy about the offense. That means the defense stinks.
There's no question. Head coach is miserable all spring. Get ready to play somebody else. Tell us about Coach Bentley. You brought him in. He was an analyst at Auburn.
Outstanding high school football coach here in the state. Was also the head coach at Presbyterian, but had wonderful success at Burns High School. But a guy that really, in a year that I was with him, is an outstanding football coach. He does a great job. And, of course, you know, knowing the high school coach in the state is very important, and to get that connection was outstanding.
Tell us about that play, Will.
Well, it's a nice high-low concept outside. Mike took it to the corner route. Corner should have split the zone right there and helped us out a little bit, but that's a nice decision by Mike. After the first down, you're going to see us. We'll go tempo right here, try and get on the ball. Defensive guys aren't ready, looking at the sideline, don't know the signals. We got some issues there. Really nice run-pass option right there. He doesn't like the run box. He's going to throw the quicks outside. It's a really nice job by Mike. Nice throw and catch. And Christian Owens, you know, finishing on the play right there.
Tell us what run-pass option means for fans.
Well, for the quarterback, he's going to count the box. If it's a six-man box, he doesn't want to run the ball inside because we can't handle one of the defenders with a five-man blocking surface. So he'll throw the ball outside, knowing that we're generally probably getting some form of one-on-one outside.
And what's the box?
Well, the boxes from tackle to tackle for the four down linemen and the two backers, and we play a lot of middle field coverage, so we get a lot of six-man boxes.
Very simple on defense today. You're not going to show anything today you didn't show at Florida.
Nothing that's on film from Florida for Auburn, with Kurt Roper from Duke and at Florida that we haven't done before as far as seeing the film. We've got 2 conference games on the road to start out, so we don't want to give them any tips. But for them, we've changed a bunch.
Yeah, so don't be watching this and thinking you know what's going on, right?
Exactly.
Another play?
You know, good check down right there. It wasn't open on top. Really nice job. Throw the check down. You can really get your completion percentage up and move the chains. Mike's done a nice job. He's got a lot of command in this drive right here. Really pleased.
You're pleased with your offensive line, defensive front seven?
Front seven, I feel really good about the situation we're there with our defensive linemen and our linebackers. I feel really good. We got to improve on the perimeter of our defense.
Let's watch this play.
We got the edge again. Nice job by Chris Moody. Really, we got to flank the formation better and in that sort of spacing so we can set the edge of the defense better.
That's all stuff you're teaching every day. That's why this is a teachable moment.
Well, and all the verbiage is new, the terminology is new, so it's great for our players in this atmosphere to have to communicate and go through the whole thing.
See what they come up on the goal line.
Well, we're going to give him 4 downs here no matter what, so we're going to go for it. There's no consequences today, so it's good. Got a bunch route, fade ball. Touchdown. Here we go. Kick it. Kick it. Kick it.
Really good drive.
Really good drive and a really nice fade ball by Mike right there. Christian Owens is a big receiver. He needs to be able to help us in the red zone.
Those tall guys on short guys in the red zone work. You've been on the other side of that a bunch, so that is big. Now, what will you want to get accomplished the rest of the day?
Well, this next drive, we're putting everybody in. I want everybody to play and get on this field to play in Williams-Brice. That's really important. And as we end the game, we're going to end with another 1-minute drive and put them out there in a duress situation, and we got to go score and move the ball.
Looks like you've got everything that you wanted to get accomplished today accomplished. It seemed like you stayed healthy. You were physical. They were ready to play. They're focused. The young quarterback got some work. Older quarterback did some good things. Tell me what you felt, what you feel standing here in the third quarter.
Well, I like this football team just about their mentality. Everything we've asked them to do, they've embraced. They haven't fought anything we've tried to do. We had a very difficult offseason. We got up every morning at 5 in the morning, got them at 6, got them going, and that's what's been so pleasing, as you know, as a coach, is when you know your guys are buying in. But we've got good enough players to win the East, and that's what we plan on doing. We're not in any rebuilding mode or anything like that. 3-9 is what we are. As Coach Spurrier always said, that's what your record is who you are, and that's where we are, but we're not going to be there long.
Last thing, what's the biggest thing you need to change between now and fall?
Well, we got to decide on a quarterback, and that's the biggest decision, as you know, and the most important position. We've got to make some decisions there.
Congratulations on a great spring game. Enjoy the fourth quarter, and fall will be here before you know it. You know that.
Coach, great to see you.
Thank you, Will. Great to see you.
All right, Coach, thanks very much. I have alerted my agent, put that all on my Emmy reel, some of my best work. A touchdown, continuing the South Carolina spring game. Tonight at 11 on the SEC ESPN Network. Join our network analysts as they discuss all of the SEC news of the day. It's SEC Now, streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Bob Wischusen, Mac Brown, Shannon Spake back at the South Carolina spring game, where the Ones have been tremendous today. 32-7. They've got the lead. C.J. Freeman, a true freshman, with a run of about 9 yards. Shannon Spake is down on the field with more. Shannon?
Yeah, Bob, you heard Coach Muschamp and Mac Brown talking about that Georgia game, October 8th. Certainly one that they have circled because of the relationship between Kirby Smart and Will Muschamp. We were able to dig up these pictures. Check them out. So these two played in college together at Georgia. You could take a look on the lower side. That is Kirby Smart. There you go. There's a picture. Kirby Smart is in that picture on the lower side. He was a freshman in this picture. Will Muschamp was a senior. He was also one of the captains, so they crossed paths in 1994 as part of the Georgia team. And it's going to be such a fun sideline because check out the mannerisms of both of these coaches. Very similar mannerisms. So highly energetic, so enthusiastic about this game. They also crossed paths in the coaching world, Valdosta State as well as LSU. So, you know, it was funny because Muschamp said, you know, I can't wait to get him on this field and kick his butt. But he said, you know what? Smart would say the same thing about me.
Well, it should be a great rivalry between those two as coaches, and a new era for South Carolina football having Will Muschamp here, and a new era for the Dogs as well, having Kirby Smart in Athens. And we've got a new quarterback in the game, Danny Gordon, who has spent most of the afternoon signaling in from the sideline. Now has a chance to take the headset off and go out and play a little bit. A redshirt sophomore from Worthington, Ohio. So it's the number 2s against the number 2s now with Danny Gordon in. And they will drop down and try to play, as Will Muschamp said, everyone out here at some point, as Gordon muffs the shotgun snap and has to take a sack. Just took his eyes off the ball a touch. C.J. Freeman, a true freshman, is also in a tailback. They have high hopes for him as well. And there's big number 44, Max Moorman, 230-pound redshirt freshman fullback, getting a chance with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Four-man rush on third down. And a check down underneath to Rivers Beatenbaugh. So that'll bring up fourth down after a gain of 2, and in a situation where almost certainly regular season, Will Muschamp would have somebody out there kicking. Why not go for it? And the coach seems to be enjoying this spring game as He saw a lot out of his true freshman quarterback, Brandon McElwain, and we expect that McElwain will continue to play as the clock turns to the fourth quarter. We don't think his day is done. There's a sack again as Danny Gordon goes down. So Coach Brown back with us in the booth. And, you know, Mac, it seemed like with your old defensive coordinator down there, it was a fun way to watch Will Muschamp take in the spring game and get his opinions and initial impressions, quarterback decision-making and whatnot as it's unfolding right in front of him.
Bob, I hope for our fans they got to see what the head coach is thinking and feeling. And you can see a little bit better the view from where you are down there. It's hard to hear. That wind's really whipping. You got those 6'6" and 6'8" guys rushing by you, and you forget that poor quarterback. It's a little bit different for him.
We'll step aside quickly once again and come back, head towards the fourth quarter of the South Carolina spring game. Final minute here of the third quarter at the South Carolina spring game. Garnet and black here in Columbia. Bob Wischusen here with Mac Brown at Williams-Brice Stadium. Down on the field, Shannon Spake. And it looks like we've got Brandon McElwain back in at quarterback. So true to Will Muschamp's word, Coach, we're going to see Brandon McElwain play all the way through this game.
And the last series, Bob, was to let everybody play. Walk-ons, everybody that went through spring practice and worked hard, give them a chance.
There's McElwain on time, making the catch is Jamari Smith. Jamari Smith has had some kind of a career already here at South Carolina. Redshirt junior, that in 2013 started at running back, went to cornerback, moved back to running back. 2014 broke his left foot in fall camp, took a medical red shirt, then moved from running back to cornerback. This spring he's played wide receiver as well, and now they've got him back at wide receiver. He mixes in with the running backs. He's kind of that Swiss Army knife player that can do a variety of things and has a role with the offense.
And if I picked out a guy today I thought really stood out that we didn't know a lot about coming into today, Bob, I would say it was Jamari. He's caught a lot of balls in the slot. They've got him out there with the ones right now. We just saw Brandon sprint to his left and throw a throwback screen to Brian Edwards. So they obviously feel like Brian's got a big place, but I think Jamari might have finally found his place.
And that will take us to the end of the third quarter. 15 more minutes to play between the black and the garnet at the South Carolina spring game. Our day of spring football continues here on the SEC ESPN network at 4 Eastern. We'll head down to Jordan Hare for Auburn's spring game. And then at 6, A&M will have their first spring game at Kyle Field since 2013. Now that the renovations are completed, what a day. All games streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. So we head to the fourth quarter of the South Carolina spring game. Bob Wischusen here with Mac Brown. Shannon Spake down on the sideline, and they're actually going to put 12 minutes up on the clock as they shorten the fourth quarter a bit because the third quarter went a little longer than expected. So still an opportunity to see Brandon McElwain run with the ones. He's been pretty impressive today. And another accurate throw. Stiff arm used again by Jamari Smith.
Brandon's got a really good presence in the pocket. And that's something a lot of young guys don't have, Bob. Standing down there with him, big tall guys rushing by him, and he just kind of stood up. He threw the screen away when it wasn't there. I really like the way this guy's managing his first football game as such in college.
Low throw scooped up again by Smith. That's become the hookup package for this group offensively. Brandon McElwain to Jamari Smith.
Well, it's obvious with a clock that's running 12 minutes. It's about over here. But they're wanting to see more Jamari Smith. He's done some good things, so he's out there, and they've put him in a prominent role. And they've got their young quarterback trying to throw to him, so they might have found something in Jamari today.
Going for the big play down the sideline is McElwain. This one is underthrown a bit. Intended for Javon Charleston. Rico McWilliams, pretty good coverage that time as he was blanketing Charleston.
Yeah, Rico's a senior, been around a long time from Hampton, Georgia. He's another guy they need to step up and play. And I don't want to make excuses for the quarterbacks, but standing down on that field with that 30-mile-an-hour wind whipping, you can have some bad long throws that just get off target.
Sixth play of the drive, and it's all throws so far for McElwain. Although this time he'll take off, but they will rule him down in the backfield. Again, spring game, he can't touch the quarterback. So TJ Holloman and Daniel Fennell collapse the pocket. They get the sack, brings up 3rd down and long.
Bob, I also think the coaches are really excited about Brandon's leadership, we know, but also his toughness. Will said he tweaked the hamstring just a little bit before the half. He wasn't going to come out. There wasn't any way. Coach Roper said, come on, let's get out. And he said, absolutely not. I'm going to finish. So obviously it's not a bad injury, but a lot of freshmen might have pulled out of there.
Check down on 3rd and long. Jacob August makes the catch.
He's very accurate. We haven't seen many passes off point with him, and the arm is strong. They talked about his touch. I can see why they're talking about touch, but here he sits in the pocket. He stands tall, and he throws a dart.
They're going to send out Elliott Fry and give their senior place kicker a chance at a long one. With the wind blowing from 47 yards away. Just a shade inside 48. That's got the distance, and it's good.
He is really good. We knew that.
3 more points for the Ones as they are dominating the spring football game here at South Carolina. Back with more of the 4th quarter in a moment. There's the newest member of the South Carolina football coaching staff, Bobby Bentley, who has taken over as the running backs coach. A great high school football coach, championship level high school football coach. But what is even more notable is it looks like his son Jake is also going to be joining the program. As while we were away, Will Muschamp sent his twos back out there and said, you just keep on going ahead and playing. Jake Bentley, he has yet to officially sign, but he has verbally committed to come this summer and forego his senior year of high school, already having graduated high school, still with a year of high school eligibility left. But he is the number 2 ranked pocket passer in the class of 2017, the number 33 overall prospect in our ESPN 300 for the coming year. But on April 6th, he announced he'll forego his senior season, enroll to play here at South Carolina. And the last notable football player to forego his senior season of high school, John David Booty. Left early in 2003, enrolled at USC. So Jake Bentley is already reclassified to the 2016 recruiting class, and they're just waiting for it to be official and for him to actually sign and join the program.
And let me say, Bob, Coach Bentley is a tremendous coach and a great hire for Will, because he did so well at Burns High School here in South Carolina, Presbyterian. He was an analyst at Auburn. So Will would have hired him anyway. It sure doesn't hurt to be bringing a great quarterback with you.
Get ready for our post-game presentations and sessions.
I think it's been fun to watch over the last 10 or 12 years, especially in college football. Art Briles comes to mind. Chiswick comes to mind. There are some coaches that have wonderful backgrounds as high school championship coaches that programs have given a chance to coach on the collegiate level and have proven now that you can make the jump from high school to college.
Chad Morris is a guy that's doing it at SMU. He did a tremendous job over Clemson.
There's a really nice throw. Dropping one in is Connor Mitch. Devin Dingle makes the catch inside the 10-yard line. So now the Twos have a chance on 1st and goal.
Connor started in ball games. He's got the quick release. He's been very accurate today. He obviously has a good attitude, even though the freshman started over him, because he's played a very competitive role today. So as Coach Muschamp said, hardest decision for this football team, and most important, is that quarterback position.
A blown coverage, so a walk-in touchdown for Jamari Smith.
Jamari may be in Will's office on Monday saying, hey, let's talk about playing time. Think you see at the end, the clock's still running, Bob. It goes so fast in that 4th quarter, but Coach Muschamp's gotten what he needs done. They stayed healthy. We didn't see one young man come off the field injured. That's a blessing today. He got some competition between quarterbacks. He got some good runs. He got some good defensive plays. This will be great video for them to study over the next 6-8 days before they go out spring recruiting.
Yeah, the coaches all talked about the fact that the spring game, you want to accomplish getting reps, getting work in, especially reps for your quarterbacks. But at the same time, you have to put players in harm's way. A sigh of relief with no injuries.
SEC Network Spring Football is brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Closing moments, the South Carolina spring game. Bob Wischusen and Mack Brown upstairs. Shannon Spake downstairs. Shannon?
Hey, Bob, we're here with someone who's had a ton of success here on this field, Pharoh Cooper. You know, a lot of these guys ran out of that tunnel for the very first time, experiencing this for the very first time, looking for a spot on this starting roster for the very first time. What would your advice be to them about how to approach this game, or how they should have approached this game?
Approach it like a regular game. You're still going to get your teammates, but you want to go out hard. The coaches, they're gonna look at the film and go over and see like it's the actual game. So you're gonna see how they react in a normal game. So this is a big stage right here. And I think just go out there and have fun and put everything together you learned in the spring.
Tell me, what do you remember about the first time that you ran out of that tunnel?
It was just a great experience, coming out to, 85,000 as a freshman, coming from a high school stadium to a big college, stadium. So it was a great feeling coming out the Sandstorm our freshman year.
What was it like? You had your pro day here recently, playing on this field for the last time, or working out on this field for the last time.
It was fun. It was a little bit emotional. Still a little emotional right now, just watching the guys play in the garnet and black. I just miss it a lot. But, it's just been great. I'm glad with the career I had at South Carolina. I wish all the other players the best, too.
Thanks, Pharoh, so much for your time. Good luck in the draft.
Thank you.
Big play down the sideline to Devin Dingle. So with 13 seconds to go, let's see if the twos get one more snap off, or that will end this South Carolina spring game. Bob Wischusen, Mack Brown, and Shannon Spake here. And Coach, if you are Will Muschamp as the final seconds are about to tick off, how many boxes did you need to check today in this game, and how many do you think Will Muschamp has been able to check?
I think you needed to check a lot, because you didn't know how they would respond the last time they played in front of a crowd. It wasn't very good. So he wanted to see them come out here and compete. They did that. There were some good licks. They did try throughout the game. A lot of kids don't try in a spring game. He wanted his young quarterback to step up. He knew enough about the others. I think that box was answered. And he really found that Brian Edwards can play, and that's something that's important. Now he brings in the new defensive back that we talked about earlier, Jamarcus Keene. That's a #1 player as a JC that's going to help him. But I think he'll leave this field happy today, Bob, and he stayed healthy. That's the other thing that was very important.
We saw the full arsenal from Brandon McElwain. Very interesting now to track this quarterback battle the rest of the summer and see who it is that starts against Vanderbilt on September 1st, opening day, when the Gamecocks officially take the field for the first time with Will Muschamp as the head coach. That will do it for all of us here in Columbia. Started with memorable moments in the alumni game, the run out, and then the spring game. For Mack Brown and Shannon Spake, I'm Bob Wischusen saying so long from Williams-Brice Stadium. Stay tuned to the SEC ESPN Network. If you missed last night's Florida spring football game, we'll show that to you once again. Enjoy the rest of the day. All the spring football here on the SEC ESPN Network.